All right, on Monday, Georgia announced that Stacy Searels is returning to Athens to be the offensive line coach. I wanted to bring somebody in who has played for Stacy. This is Clint Boling, a former NFL player for the Bengals for a long time, and out of Chattahoochee. And Clint, you had a long time with Stacy. In fact, I believe every single year that you were there. What's Georgia getting? Tell everybody from your perspective after playing in the league for so many years. What is Georgia getting?
Yeah, Coach Searles was the O-line coach all 4 years that I was in school. He actually got hired as I was committed. But he's definitely intense. He does not he does not mess around. But he is a good college offensive line coach. He does a good job motivating guys, pushing his guys. And personally, when I saw the news this morning, I was happy. I was excited that he was going to be coming back. He's a veteran offensive line coach that's been in a lot of different systems and a lot of different places. But just to have him back in Athens, personally, like I said, it was something that I think is going to be good for the program.
What did you think when you first met him? Because you were, I think, already on the way to Georgia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so it was definitely a little bit different. I was still, I guess, being recruited or committed. I hadn't signed yet when I first met him, so everything was great then. And that's everybody's experience getting recruited. But once we got into school, you quickly realize, it was definitely he was all business. He was very, very intense. And but at the same time, he wants what's best for you, and he wants to do what's best for the team. He's going to push guys and motivate guys. Um, but like I said, I think it's going to be for the best of those guys, and especially those college offensive linemen. It's important. It's hard for those guys to get motivated sometimes. You got 20 different personalities of some big guys. Sometimes that they're not the fastest moving guys in the world, and it's just going to be for what he has and what those offensive line coaches' jobs are. I mean, it's incredibly difficult for them, dealing with 17, 18-year-old kids. So I think he's going to be good for the program, and I think it's going to be like I said, it's going to be a good change.
A couple of games into the 17th season, you're starting at guard, I think, at Alabama, right next to Trenton. What was that night
I
like? Yeah, go ahead.
That was it was actually '07. I think you said 17, so that was
Oh, sorry about
2007.
that. I did say
Yeah, it's
17.
even longer ago. It was even
Uh,
longer ago. I guess that was about 15 years ago now. But yeah, I was starting at right guard, actually next to Chester Adams, Big
that's
Cheese.
an Alabama
Trenton was playing
native.
on the yeah. He was playing right tackle. I was right guard. Fernando was playing center. Chris Davis, I think, was the left guard,
Jefferson.
and Trenton playing left tackle. So that was the second start of my career. I got the opportunity to start the week before against Western Carolina and played well. Got the chance to start against Alabama, and definitely going into that atmosphere, that was something Coach Searles helped me get ready for. The team and him, and had the confidence in me as a true freshman to be able to go out in that setting. I was pretty naive and didn't really know exactly what we were getting into in that situation, but I mean, that was definitely up there with one of the better games and best games of my college experience.
Why though? I mean, because of the ending, or what'd you think?
Yeah, just everything in general. Just it was probably my third game of my career,
Mhm.
second game starting, just the way that we won in overtime, the whole dog pile in the end zone. There's just a ton of different memories throughout that game as well as that season, really, that really kind of stand out in my mind looking back on.
You talked about Stacy being very passionate, I guess. I can remember walking, I can't remember what year, but I can remember walking behind where the offensive line is to the right hand side, the way I look at it, of the it's to the open end of the end zone is where the offensive line hangs out on the sideline at Georgia. And I was walking behind y'all between there and the hedges, and I saw a dry erase board that was no longer functional. Okay.
Yeah,
And then there was another one. I think at that point he was still using the broken one. So how did
yeah.
it break? How did these things break? What are we getting into with all that?
It's kind of one of they're gonna. I don't know if he's still using them. There's a lot of new technology out there right now, and
Sure.
I don't know if he's got the iPad. Hopefully, he's not breaking the iPad. But we'd have to go into a game with a couple dry erase boards. He'd get frustrated every now and then, for whatever reason, and he would take his frustrations out on the dry erase board. So the budget for the dry erase boards might go up, but the budget for the gray crew neck sweatshirts will go down because he'll wear about one of those for an entire year.
And did it smell
So
after a while or immediately? I know what
I
you're talking.
personally I haven't gotten that close. I don't want to. So
How did his time at Georgia, when you think about your run, you were not drafted at the right spot. As it turns out, and this happens in the league. Sometimes guys are overdrafted, sometimes guys are underdrafted. But a guy that spent that much time in the league, to go in the third round or whatever it was, late early fourth round, I can't recall. You were not positioned correctly for the career that you had. But how did Stacy get you ready for that time?
um, personally, he's going to push guys. He's going to demand what's the best for you, and every day he's going to want your best. And like I said, he does a good job of motivating and pushing guys. And personally, I was there to work, and I was ready to perform, and I wanted to go in and work every single day. And the guys that aren't going to succeed and do well are going to be the guys that don't go in and aren't giving it at all there every day. But if you go in there and you're ready to work every single day and get ready for practice in the weight room, meeting rooms, and just be engaged and pay attention, give it your all, then he's going to respect you. He's going to push you the way that he knows how to push you. But if you go into practice and just kind of go through the motions certain times, then that's not going to be the way that that's not going to be the best thing for you or him or the program. But like I said, if you go in there ready to work, he's going to definitely get the best out of you and teach you the best way that he can. Um, Personally, I think even when I was in school, he had a number of guys getting drafted just between guys that he recruited and guys that performed at Georgia. Ben Jones, Cordy Glenn, and myself. You got three guys right there that he recruited to Georgia. He, kind of molded at Georgia and got them ready for the NFL. And all three of us have been able to have long careers, and obviously Ben's still going. So, to say that he's definitely going to get the best out of guys and will push guys the way that he knows how to.
All right, a couple more minutes here with former Georgia offensive lineman Clint Boling. I wanted to ask you about your view of Kirby and what he's done with the program. Just won the national championship. Y'all were not so far from the national championship in '07, but you're from a distance. What do you see?
Yeah, they just the recruiting and the players that they're able to bring in right now. I think that kind of speaks volumes to what they're able to do. The recruiting class is obviously paying dividends, and that the way that they're able to get guys in there, you see it on the field every Saturday. Whether it's guys on the offensive line, somebody gets hurt, new guy comes in, they don't miss a beat. They're cycling, 4 or 5 defensive linemen, personnel groupings on defense. The way that they're able to just rotate and keep guys fresh, and it just shows to the depth that they have at the program right now. And I think that just goes back to recruiting. And it goes back to what I was talking about with Coach Searels and demanding your best every single day. You have that amount of talent and that amount of players that are there competing each and every day. I mean, that's going to be the best way to get guys to compete, is to make somebody there that's, physically more talented than them. They're going to make sure you're going to rise to the occasion and you're going to work your best to compete with those guys.
One guy that had no real issue competing consistently was Ben. And Ben's father passed away before he got to Georgia. That's quite a story and so forth. But what I want to ask you about, you wore number 60 for a long time, and then you left, and only after the fact did Ben go to 60. Why don't you tell us that
Uh-huh.
story?
Yeah, I knew he was number 60 in high school. And obviously he was 61 for 3 years at Georgia. I personally didn't know that was
Right.
his dad's number until after I left. But right after I left, he had switched numbers to 60. And, I asked Ben about it, and he ended up telling me that it was his dad's number. So, like I said, I personally didn't even know about it. I had no emotional connection. That was just, I got to Georgia, they handed me a jersey, and it was 60. And I was like, all right, cool. So I was 60 for that. So, it was one of those things. I was like, well, shoot, man, you should have told me that you had an emotional connection to it. I would have gladly passed it over and switched numbers. But that's just the kind of guy that Ben is. Ben, extremely humble. Like to talk about hard work. I mean, that's a guy from, just from the middle of nowhere that's gotten to where he is. It just kind of speaks volumes to what kind of guy he is, really.
I'm not going to end on this, but you got a chance to watch Matthew win the Super Bowl, but it came at the expense of your franchise. But the
Yeah.
Bengals they've come such a long way, man. And I'm not placating. I'm not saying I think they certainly could win the Super Bowl in the near future. The AFC is a knife fight. But what was that like for you watching Matthew win and watching the Bengals get where they got? Have you talked with anybody about this yet?
Yeah, it was definitely fun to watch. I would say personally, there's two teams in the NFL I care about: the Bengals, and then I had the Rams. There's a lot of connections to the Rams, obviously, with Stafford being the quarterback there. Their left tackle was a guy named Andrew Whitworth, who is a really close friend and a guy that kind of took me under my wing when I first got to Cincinnati. He had a long career in Cincinnati, and him and I played next to one another. Zach Robinson, who we actually played against at Oklahoma State, is a coach for the Rams now, and he's a close friend, former roommate. He played in Cincinnati with me. So, there's a lot of close connections there. But, I was just happy for those guys. I was happy for Stafford to see what he did and he was able to accomplish with all that pressure that was applied, ever since he even got traded there. And Andrew Whitworth, who's 40 years old, the career that he's had in the NFL, and to go out that way, it's definitely I was definitely happy for those guys. But as far as Cincinnati, they're a promising organization. They have a ton of talent right now, and they have a one thing that you really need, and that's a quarterback. As long as you have a quarterback in the NFL, you're able to win games, and they got that right now.
Wrapping up with Clint Boling, life is different after the league. So now you're tackling, life at home, for lack of a better word. What's that like for y'all?
It's been good overall. I've been out for a few years. I have three kids now. I have two girls. I have a boy who's about a month old. And everybody, it's all hands on deck right now. The kids have been great. It's a ton of fun, but it's definitely a grind. Somebody gave me some advice one day and said, the days are long, but the years are short. And, that couldn't ring more true. So there's definitely some days that are some grinds, but there's some days that, they're the best ever. So it's a lot of fun right now. Taking them to some Georgia games last year, and hopefully more in the future. It's been good. So no complaints here.
You are outnumbered. You've been outnumbered all of a sudden now with the three of them and the
Yeah.
two of y'all.
Yeah. Finally, I'm outnumbered with girls, girls to guys in the house, and I'm also outnumbered kids to adults. So I'm in the minority in my own house, but like I said, I got no complaints, and we're surviving right now.
All right, last question. This is a weird one. What's your guilty pleasure these days? I mean, you did physical manual labor for what, almost 10, not quite 10 years in the league. What do you do to just like zone out?
I just play golf. That was the thing I started doing right after I got done. When I retired, I started playing a lot of golf. It was probably about a 9 or 10 index. I'm down to a 2, 3, 4 index now. So I like to think I'm a good golfer. It's a ton of fun. It's a great sport. You get to meet a lot of different people in different settings. But that's been the primary thing that I've been doing. I got to coach for a high school a little bit last fall, and I actually recently took a new job with a former teammate in Georgia that we're starting soon as well.
Is that quiet?
No, we actually start here pretty soon. If you remember Kevin Perez, he played offensive line with me at Georgia, but we start. He's we're working and doing a logistics company here in Atlanta named True Haul. So we're
Plug
actually
it. Hey,
starting
plug
here.
it. We got a lot of people. Plug it.
Yeah, True Haul. We do all kinds of logistical with dump trucks, moving dirt. Basically, Kevin and his brother started it down in Miami, and we're growing into Atlanta now. And I'm going to help get them started here in Atlanta in the next week or so.
Moving Earth, Clint Boling, Kevin
Yeah,
Perez. That's
yeah.
awesome,
If you need to
man.
move some, if you need to move some dirt in Atlanta, True Haul. That's our company name. So.
Clint Boling, thanks for joining us. Thanks for all the information about Stacy, and we'll see you in Sanford Stadium here one of these days here soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.